OK, bonjour tout le monde. Sur notre leçon aujourd'hui, voici le corrigé du travail d'hier. Si vous voulez voir si vos réponses sont correctes hier, vous pouvez vérifier avec ce document ici. On a une feuille de travail, encore un travail assez court aujourd'hui. Il n'est pas nécessaire de répondre à question numéro 3 dans la feuille de travail. Aujourd'hui, vous pouvez passer la majorité de votre temps à compléter vos activités cumulatives. Okay? Ensuite, ceci est un lien qui est juste quelque chose d'intérêt pour vous. Le Dropbox pour aujourd'hui. Et encore, n'oubliez pas que les 3 prochaines journées d'école, jeudi, vendredi et lundi de la semaine prochaine, vont être des journées de travail. Notre prochaine rencontre quotidienne va être le mardi de la semaine prochaine, le 15 juillet. Okay, so today's work is fairly straightforward. You're going to have quite a bit of time to spend on your culminating activities, which ideally I'd like to have by the end of the day, Monday. And then, yeah, just a reminder that the next 3 kind of school days, so tomorrow, Friday, and Monday are just work days to get your projects done. Okay. So, ici, vous avez un article à lire et ça va faire avec la Charte des droits et libertés. So this is just a short article. So en 1928 et 1972 en Alberta, il y avait un programme eugénique gouvernemental où presque 3000 personnes ont été stérilisées. Okay, so a eugenics program is kind of the government trying to control population in a sense. So trying to kind of breed out undesired traits and breed in desired traits. So in Alberta from 1928 to 1972, the government sterilized, so made it so that about 3,000 people couldn't reproduce and have children. So ça parle un peu du programme eugénique, mais cet article discute l'expérience d'une femme qui a été stérilisée sans le savoir. Okay, so this article is about one kind of individual, one woman, Lilane Muir, who was sterilized without her knowledge. And then so she finds out about it. And then we have this scenario. So, imaginez que Muir et plusieurs supporters se sont réunis devant la législature d'Alberta pour protester la loi. Okay, so the scenario is, imagine that Miss Muir and several of her supporters met together in front of the Alberta legislature to protest what had happened to her. Les policiers sont appelés et ont mis plusieurs personnes en prison, y compris Muir. Après un jour, la mère de Muir appelle la station de police et trouve qu'elle n'a pas parlé à un avocat et n'a pas compris qu'elle avait le droit d'appeler un avocat. La mère vous appelle pour être l'avocat de Muir. Comment défendrez-vous votre client? Okay, so the police show up. It is a peaceful protest. They show up. They take quite a few people, put them in prison, including Mrs. Muir. A day later, her mother calls the police station and finds out that she hasn't yet spoken to a lawyer and didn't even understand that she had the right to speak to a lawyer. So the mom contacts you to be her lawyer. How would you defend Mrs. Muir? Okay, so vous allez regarder à la Charte des droits et libertés canadiennes. Vous allez identifier quelle section de la Charte a été violée et dites-moi comment la Charte a été violée. Okay, so again, you should refer back to the Charter of Rights and Freedom. There are a couple of sections here where she had rights that were negated or violated, and so it should be kind of easy for you to get her out of jail. Okay, so tell me what sections, what numbered sections, and then how her rights were violated. Et ensuite, répondez la question, est-ce que la province d'Alberta pourrait réussir à passer cette loi selon la charte? Okay, so if they tried to pass that same law now, would they be able to do that according to the Charter of Rights and Freedom? Why or why not? OK, so ici, vous allez lire de l'information au sujet du Parlement canadien. So we're going to look at kind of how the Canadian Parliament is set up. So le système parlementaire, so this is kind of our system of government. I know this has been a quick tour through the course of civics. You know, we were doing this in a semester, we spent more time kind of looking at this process, but at least here you will get a sense of how the Canadian government is kind of divided. So ici, si on se rappelle, il y a trois pouvoirs dans le gouvernement, right? On a le pouvoir exécutif, le pouvoir législatif et le pouvoir judiciaire. On peut voir ici comment le système est organisé. Okay, so on a la reine qui est au haut du système du gouvernement, sur le pouvoir exécutif et le pouvoir législatif, et elle est représentée par le gouverneur général. So in this case, actually, now it's the king. So the king of Canada is the head of the government, and he is represented by the governor general. Ensuite, on a le Sénat. Okay, so then we have the Senate. Ils sont nommés sur recommandation du Premier ministre. So the members of the Senate are named there by the Prime Minister, and they serve for a certain amount of time. Le Sénat, certains membres du Sénat font partie du pouvoir exécutif et ils sont aussi une partie du pouvoir législatif. Et ensuite, on a aussi la Chambre des communes. Ici, c'est où on trouve les membres élus par le peuple. Okay, so the Senate, some members of the Senate belong to the cabinet, and so they are part of the executive power, so the day-to-day kind of decision-making. They're also a part of the legislative process, so they have a role in how laws come to be made. And then you have the Chamber of Commons, and this is where you find all of the elected members. Et finalement, on peut voir séparer ici le pouvoir judiciaire. So, on a la Cour suprême du Canada qui est le niveau le plus élevé du pouvoir judiciaire. Et ensuite, on a la Cour fédérale et la Cour provinciale. So the judiciary, so the judicial power, you have the Supreme Court of Canada, which is kind of the highest level of the court system. And then below that, you have the federal courts, which deal with cases that break federal law. And you have provincial courts that deal with people that have or are accused of having broken provincial laws. So ici, on a des petits paragraphes qui expliquent le rôle de chaque membre de ce système. So you can kind of read through that. On peut voir ici la façon dont les sièges du Sénat sont distribués. Okay, so le Sénat est distribué selon les provinces. So senators are kind of based around kind of land in this sense. So Ontario gets 24 senators, Quebec gets 24 senators, the Maritime provinces get 24. Well, that's not quite right. Yeah, that's wrong. That should be 6. Les provinces de l'Ouest, so the west of Canada gets 24 senators, and the other territories get 9. Okay. So de cette façon ici, chaque région est représentée d'une façon égale. Okay, so this is meant to kind of equally represent the different areas of the country. Yeah. Et le rôle du Sénat est d'étudier, modifier et rejeter ou approuver les projets de loi adoptés par la Chambre des communes. So the Senate is kind of like the editors for the laws that are passed by the Chamber of Commons, or the House of Commons. So again, the people that we elect kind of make laws, and then once it gets voted on and it's approved, it gets moved over to the Senate. They study it, modify it, say these changes should be made. They send it back to the House of Commons, and then that is kind of that process of debate that we had kind of mentioned earlier. aucun projet de loi ne peut devenir loi tant qu'il n'est pas adopté par le Sénat. Et la grosse chose ici, le Sénat peut présenter leur propre projet de loi, sauf ceux concernant une dépense de fonds publics ou un impôt. So this is kind of an important distinction, is that the Senate can propose laws, but they cannot propose anything that would cost us money or that would raise taxes on us. So they can't spend our money and they can't force us to provide more taxes to the government. And the big reason for that is because they were not elected by the public, right? They were chosen by the prime minister. And so they do have an important role to play in democracy. But since they were not elected and since they stay on, so ils demeurent en fonction jusqu'à l'âge de 75 ans. So they don't have to kind of every certain amount of time go up for re-election. They are nominated until they're 75. If they choose to leave before they're 75, then they can do so. But there is not the same kind of accountability as there is for our elected members, where if they kind of upset us or do things that we disagree with, we can choose to not vote them back, right? So that is kind of one important distinction between the Senate, is that they can propose their own laws, but they can't propose things that cost us money or raise taxes. La Chambre des communes, so ici est où la majorité des lois voit le jour. So most of the laws kind of come from the the House of Commons. Voici la distribution des sièges. So ceci est basé sur la population. Okay, so the number of seats does change over time. And when it does change, they have a specific formula, and it's all based on population. Okay, so on peut voir que la province ou les provinces avec les plus grosses populations ont le plus grand nombre de sièges. So l'Ontario est la province la plus peuplée. So ils ont 121 sièges dans la Chambre des communes. Ensuite, c'est le Québec et finalement la Colombie-Britannique. Okay, so you can see here that the breakdown of the seats. So qui fait quoi? So ici est une explication de qui a quel rôle dans le Parlement. Okay, so you have kind of the different roles here in Parliament, so you can kind of read through that, make sure you understand that. And then, finalement, ici, avec l'information qui vous a été donnée, essayez de remplir le tableau du Parlement suivant de plus votre habileté. So here you can see there's this image. There are numbered elements. So I want you to kind of fill in the blanks based off of what you have kind of read here. And then that is it. So numéro 3, il n'est pas nécessaire. So you don't have to do this little research project on political parties. Again, we just don't have the time. Again, having started the course a little bit later, we're going to kind of skip that part. One little tip on this is that this image did come from Google Images. So if you copy and paste it in there, you might be able to find some answers beyond just what's in this text. Okay. OK. Ensuite, je veux vous introduire à ceci, sur ce site web ici, sur Vote Compass. OK, so ceci est un site web qui est organisé par Radio-Canada. So this is a website. It's a tool developed by political scientists to help you kind of explore your views compared with those of the parties. So, on a vu la première journée qu'une des responsabilités d'un citoyen actif est d'être bien informé et de participer dans les élections. Okay, so being well informed and participating in elections is really important. And you are approaching an age where you will be able to participate in elections. And I encourage you when you turn 18 to go vote in whatever elections. And you can actually register to vote when you are 17, and then you will get a notification when there are elections and you are 18, and you will be kind of registered to vote. But this website is really, really great because what it does is it will ask you, I think it's about 20 questions. Okay, so hang on there. It'll ask you about 20 questions, and you will answer them. And these are kind of political questions, and you will answer them based on how you feel. And what it does is then it compares your answers with all of the positions from the major political parties. So you can kind of get a sense of which party is most aligned with your political beliefs. This is really good because it is all in one place. It's a really good place to get started. It shouldn't necessarily be kind of your be all and end all, but it's a really great tool to kind of let you know where you kind of match up. And then from there, you can do more research on the parties if you want. So ça, c'est seulement une introduction à l'outil. Ma suggestion serait de répondre les questions et vous pouvez voir où vous vous trouvez en référence au parti de l'élection qui s'est juste passé. So this will, if you go through it, takes maybe 5 minutes, and then you can kind of see where you would have lined up with the political parties for the most recent election, which was just a little while ago. Okay, so ça c'est tout pour aujourd'hui. N'oubliez pas, aussi, faites certain de vérifier votre courriel. Okay? So j'ai envoyé un courriel ce matin. So s'il y a un cercle rouge à côté de l'enveloppe, ça veut dire que je vous ai envoyé un courriel et j'ai envoyé des courriels à ceux qui me manquent encore leur tâche numéro 1, maire pour la journée. Okay? So I'll still accept your mayor for a day, but you want to get that in as soon as possible. So check your email here. If I've sent you an email indicating that it's still due, please make sure that you submit it. It does count for a large chunk of your final mark. So you want to make sure you get that done. And you don't want to kind of leave it for so long that you don't have time to work on your 2 culminating activities. OK, so c'est tout pour maintenant. Je vais ajouter un lien avant longtemps qui explique les différentes forms d'élection. So I mentioned yesterday for your creating a country that there will be an article here with the different kind of types of elections, different ways that votes can be counted. So I will post that today for you. OK, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à me demander. Yeah, so on va se revoir mardi de la semaine prochaine. Encore, aucune question, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, envoyez-moi un courriel et demandez-moi. OK? Merci. Salut.